Hey there, this is Jeff Nelson. I'm a realtor down here in Lower Alabama, specifically Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. So condos, most people know there's a difference between buying a condo and buying a single family home. So I have so many people that contact me from all across the country about purchasing down here in Alabama that I thought it'd be a really good idea to put together a video series on condo buying tips, because most people know the difference in a vague kind of way, but there might be some details that you never thought about. And so I'm going to just spell it all out for you. Today is going to be specifically getting down to the real basics of condos versus single family home, is knowing the difference. What's the difference between ownership and owning a condo versus a single family home? So number one, we're going to go over 4 parts of this, but number one is, what exactly do you own in a condo? So when you buy a condo, whether it's for investment purposes or to live in it full time, or you just want a second family home, what do you actually own in a condo? So what it really comes down to is, when you own a condominium, you own the interior walls and the airspace. I know that seems like there's something not right about that, where you just own the airspace of a unit. But what's really involved in that is the building itself, meaning the railings, the hallways, the elevators, the land that it sits on, all of the amenities. I mean, those are called shared ownership. That's shared ownership. So with that also comes shared expenses. So that's a good thing. But when you own a condo, you open up the front door to your unit, that's what you own. Everything else is shared ownership with the rest of the owners in that building. And of course you have, when most people think about a condo, they think of a tall structure that has, several dozen or 100 units, or maybe even 200 units. Kind of looks like an apartment building. But the building itself, you have ownership, but the maintenance of it, the cost of it, is shared by all of the owners in that building. So single family home, you all know what's involved there. You own the building, you own the land, you own what's in the ground, and you own the airspace above your house. So there's a big difference, and that's really the main component of the difference between a condo ownership and a single family home. All right, so with that brings us to the second part of condo ownership versus single family home, and that's HOA fees. Well, they call it homeowners association, but they're also called COAs, condo owner association fees. So, but either way, they're fees. And a lot of times when I talk to clients, there's a sticker shock when it comes to seeing the HOA fees for condos. And rightly so, because sometimes they're up there. I mean, they could be $600 a month, they could be $800 a month, and I'll get into that in just a second. But what most people don't realize, and I talk to people every day about this, most people don't realize that those HOA fees cover not only the building, not only the railways and the stairs and the parking lot, but they also cover all the amenities. And most condo associations, most condo communities are going to have some amenities, especially down here at the beach. But here's the thing, it's more than the amenities. HOA fees, at least down here, so if you're watching this video and you're like in Michigan or Wisconsin or Hawaii or whatever, just get with your local realtor and find out if what I'm getting ready to tell you is the same with where you live right now. Because where I live, what is typical, the HOA fees include not only the building and the insurance. Now the insurance is the big part. If you had a single family home, you would have to pay extra, we all know this, you would have to pay wind and hail, maybe flood insurance, separately than your mortgage payment, or in with your mortgage payment, but you would have to pay for it in addition to your monthly principal and interest payment along with taxes. So with condos, just about all the time, at least where I'm at, where I service customers down here in Alabama, excuse me, the condo fees also cover, all right, so they cover insurance for the building, they cover maintenance of the building, they cover reserve funds, and get into that in just a second. But here's also what they cover typically in my area, and check with your local realtor wherever you are in a different state. If you're here, you better call me. But they also cover in our area water, trash, sewer, internet, cable. So those are expenses that you would have at a single family home anyway. So now even though the HOA fee might seem a little steep, if you start adding all those things that you would have to pay for anyway into it, including insurance, that HOA fee might not be that steep as you might think. When I lived in a condo, I live in a single family home now, but when I lived in a condo, I added up all my expenses. My HOA fees were like $535 a month or something like that. And it covered all those things I just mentioned. And then you also got pool, 2 pools, tennis court, boat slips, and all that. So what it really came down to, I was only spending another $100 a month to have the pool, the 2 pools, fitness room, the boat slips, tennis courts, and all that. So that was basically all I was spending extra to have those amenities. So some of these, now down here, those amenities could really be pretty sweet. A lot of condo communities, almost all of them, are going to have some kind of a pool. Now we're going to have, you could have outdoor pools, and some of them can be very elaborate. You could have indoor pools, tennis courts. Just depending on the community, you might have fitness rooms. There's some communities down here that, condos that fitness rooms are huge. I mean, maybe 2,000 square feet. And then the other smaller communities that might have, a 12 by 15 fitness room. But you could have a condo community, depending on where it's at, could have boat slips involved. So there's just so many things that go along with that HOA fee. And that's one of the biggest things, the biggest takeaway that I want you as a potential condo buyer to take in is that don't get so much sticker shock with that HOA fee, because a lot of that expense is probably going to be an expense that you would pay for anyway, minus the amenities. All right. The third thing that I think is one of the biggest differences in condo ownership versus single family home ownership is the proximity. Now this is a no-brainer, but it's the proximity to your neighbors. All right. So there's pros and cons to that, obviously. What's that saying? The best neighbor is a good tall fence. I mean, if you're one of those people, then sure, condo living is probably not for you. But there are some good benefits to that as well. If you're looking as an investment, I think personally, if you're looking to invest in a condo to capture tourism, like if you're in a beach community like I am, I think having a lot of people around is a good thing. So I think security is a really good pro so far as owning a condo, because I think you're going to have you're less likely to have people break into your place versus if they saw a single family home that wasn't occupied or that you went away for a weekend. I think you would be less likely having more people around to have your condo broken in than you would a single family home. But so far as proximity to other people, I mean, that could be a pro or con depending on your situation and how you're looking at it. Also, I want to throw in too, pro or con in this aspect of so far as having a lot of people around. Here's a big difference, and I know this from the condo that I lived in. You might be able to hear your neighbors on the other side of the wall or below or above you. So there's some condos that are wood framed that you're going to hear your neighbors really good to the left and to the right and above you and below you, okay? But if you, a lot of times when you're in other condos that, condo buildings that are multi-story, like over 3 stories, you're going to find that those buildings are poured in place concrete. So you're less likely to hear the noise from your neighbors. So anyway, I just wanted to give you some pros and cons. I'm not going to tell you that everything's good about owning a condo. It could be noisy. You might not like people around you, but there's some good things and bad things about it too. If you don't like the noise, look for condo buildings that are poured in place concrete versus wood. And that's that for proximity of neighbors. Okay, so let's talk about the last part of this series, the difference between owning a condo and single family home. I think it's maintenance. I'm 53 years old. I am done doing yard work. I'm done cutting grass. That is a big part of maintenance, and when you own a condo, that's something you will not have to do. Also, everything that has to do with that building, everything that has to do with everything, with the exception of the airspace within your unit, you don't have to mess with. Now, on a bigger scale, I want you to think about if you live in a single family home right now, you know this already, that over time, a house is going to break down. You're going to need a new roof at some point. You're going to need new windows or doors at a certain point, siding, whatever the case may be. You're going to have things break down over a period of time. Might be 20, might be 30 years. It might depend. It's going to depend on a lot on how old the structure is. So, but with condos, a little piece of that HOA fee is going towards the reserve fund. Now, the reserve fund has to do with maintenance of the property. So if a condo building has been around for 25 years and it does need a new roof, or the pool needs to be resurfaced, or whatever they do to pools, or they need to paint all the railings, or they need to replace all the windows in the entire building, what happens is the board is usually made up of owners of that building. So the board votes on, yes, we do need new windows. Okay, so if that's the case, then they bid it out and they get the best price they can to get the best job. And then let's say that number to replace all the windows, I'm just throwing out a figure, let's say it's $50,000. They take that $50,000 and then they divide it among all of the sellers, or the owners of that building. And whatever that price may be. So if their reserve funds cover that amount, then you're golden. And usually they like to keep a lot of money in those reserve funds. It's not unheard of for the reserve fund amount to be, $100 or $200 or $300,000, just in case of emergencies. Now, special assessments, and I'll get into that in another video series, but special assessments, if the reserve funds aren't enough, then what they'll do is they'll divide that amount, whatever surplus amount that is needed to cover the repair, that amount is divided by the amount of owners, and then that owner will be assessed a special cost for that. So, but you're not going to have to deal with this. Everything is really hands-off when it comes to maintenance. So owning a condo is very much different than owning a single-family home. However, just looking at it from a standpoint of not having to do anything, you just got to look at it for your own personal, what's your circumstance? Do you want to not have to do anything? You just kind of do your thing, not have to worry about maintenance. A lot of your fees are really going to be tied up into those HOA fees. Really, the only extra cost that you would have, in most cases, at least down in my area, is going to be your electric bill. That's going to be separate. So, and do you like being with your neighbors or around your neighbors more? So anyway, I hope this helps. Again, if you are in another part of this country and you are looking to buy a condo, I hope this helps, and I encourage you to get with your local agent, and they can give you how things work in your state. But if you're in Low Alabama, give me a ring. So this is Jeff Nelson, Realtor here with eXp Realty down here in Low Alabama. If you are looking, please give me a shout. This is my wheelhouse, and subscribe. I'm putting out new information all the time about our area and real estate and local things happening. So please subscribe, and hope to talk to you soon.